So basically, this is their game. They are prepared for a short-term war, and they cannot stand a long-term war. What they need a quick ceasefire where they attack Israel, hurt it so bad, then Israel retaliates, many civilians die, Israel get condemned, Hamas get legitimacy, and more power, more money. This is their game. And, as someone who knows them very well and understand their mentality, I know their brain very well, I say, no, we cannot give them a ceasefire now. Well, I see the children dying on the other hand, but if we don't finish them now, what will happen tomorrow?
What is your take on this current situation in general? Because you're very opinionated when it comes to this, as you should be.
No, honestly, I'm not sure about your term. It's not a matter of opinion. You have an opinion as an outsider of something. But when you have a long practice in a certain reality and you have the experience of at least 30 years of something, living it every day and seeing it grow, then it's not a matter of opinion now. It's not a matter of point of view. It's a matter what it is. And on that authority I speak. Hence, this is my life journey, and it's unfortunate. And what I don't want for the world, actually, that they have to go through the suffering that I had to go through to come to the same realization. Is why I just tell the world, here it is. It's just for free. Hamas is bad news. We don't have to go into Hamas' brain and go through Hamas experience in order to realize how bad they are. But the human ego does not accept the simple truth. It is very curious to experience it on its own. So I'm not posing here as an expert on the issue. I've been saying this for about 20 years. And prior to that, 10 years in secret fighting against such a monster. An ideological monster that is representing the deepest level of human delusion that wants to dominate the universe, that is anti-other. Anything that is different than Hamas is their enemy. So we're talking about a global threat. And now we have the situation where they hijacked an entire society, what's so-called the Palestinian cause, which many forces throughout the centuries hijacked what's so-called a Palestinian cause. And today I see in the United States, the mob down the street also hijacking the cause, projecting their hatred, whatever their need for a revolution. And my personal experience say, no, it's evolution. It's not a revolution. Revolution, rebellion, etc. This was good, maybe hundreds of years ago. But right now, we came to a point in the human consciousness to realize that it's evolution. It's not a revolution. If we need a quick fix, a fast change, because this is how much desperate we are for change, then it is gonna be violent. So are we willing to pay the bills of violence? This is what I was trying to tell Hamas 25 years ago, that violence is a dead end because you will pay the bill in blood. But they wouldn't listen. My father wouldn't listen. Now the world, and especially the free world, is not listening. That this is an evolution. We need to educate ourselves. We need to grow. We need to work on ourselves, not to blame the other. And that's Hamas' game, and I don't like it. Blaming Israel for the mistakes that Hamas is doing. Hence, I feel the burden, that I have to shout out loud, all the time. Otherwise, people are not listening. And if they continue to be like this, just sticking their head in the sand, blaming the wrong people, not seeing things for what they are, not realizing the origins of this suffering, then we are going to go in this vicious cycle for eternity.
Were you surprised at all by the brutality of the October 7th attack from Hamas, or was this par for the course?
Look, I was not surprised by Hamas savages. I know them. I lived in prison with them for 27 months. If you want to get to know somebody, live with them in a small room for 27 months. This is how you get to know someone. So I met many Hamas leaders in prison. I was there when Hamas was born. and before Hamas was born, and I will be there after Hamas is dead. This is a promise that I give you. So it's not that I was surprised, but the scale of the attack was greater than I thought Hamas could manage. And that the fact that they captured everything on camera, on one hand is disgusting, and it's it gave us a setback in the human consciousness. But on the other hand, I want to say that Hamas made a mistake, because this is how they revealed their true nature to the world. And I invite everybody to see Hamas barbarism and what they are capable of doing. And this is nothing, because if we allow them to grow stronger, to give them what they are asking for, they're asking for territory and more power, recognition, and they want the world to tell them it's okay. The use of violence is justified. Do whatever you want, because we are afraid that some children are going to die in Gaza Strip. So this is now the dilemma, the moral dilemma of the free world that all of us are struggling. On one hand, we're supposed to condemn a terrorist organization, but on the other hand, we don't want to see children dying, and everybody is emotional, and here we go. We are bending. Mm-hmm. We are bowing to the devil. Instead of saying, okay, children are dying, and it's devastating to see such pictures, but we have to eradicate this Islamist group. We have no other choice. We cannot take just a pill and go to sleep and wake up in the morning and the world is going to be different. We will have to face Hamas sooner or later. If we don't finish them this war today, this time, they are going to be there tomorrow, and they are going to be deadlier. So basically, this is their game. They are prepared for a short-term war, and they cannot stand a long-term war. What they need a quick ceasefire where they attack Israel, hurt it so bad, then Israel retaliates, many civilians die, Israel get condemned, Hamas get legitimacy, and more power, more money. This is their game. And, as someone who knows them very well and understand their mentality, I know their brain very well, I say, no, we cannot give them a ceasefire now. Well, I see the children dying on the other hand, but if we don't finish them now, what will happen tomorrow? And for all those who say ceasefire, I say, okay, if we want to go to this extent, and if you want a plan for a ceasefire, then I don't have a problem with it. Let's do a ceasefire. But I have some conditions. First of all, I would like for Hamas to return all the hostages, international and Israeli hostages. Second, Hamas need to give up power, get on a ship, and move to Algeria. In Algeria, they have the president of Algeria, the parliament of Algeria. They are very good friends with Hamas. And Algeria has got the olive trees, it's got the Mediterranean climate. It's perfect for Hamas. If they really love the Palestinian people, if they care for the Gazan children, if they want a real ceasefire to protect the children of Gaza, if this is really their intention and why they are begging for a ceasefire, then I say quit. Get on a ship, get on a boat, and get the hell out of Gaza. Let the people of Gaza be. Because the people of Gaza dying today because of Hamas, and because of Hamas only, who's using them as human shields. So now, this would solve the dilemma. You want a ceasefire? We cannot have a ceasefire while Hamas is the predator. Hamas is the one who's causing the death for all the children, gambling with children's blood. So if you want a ceasefire plan, then no problem. Hamas get out of Gaza. They will have a safe passage. If they want to keep their uniform, their guns, no problem. They can take their guns with them and get the hell out of Gaza and let the children live. Then I'm sure Israel will be willing to withdraw from Gaza and give Gaza back to the Palestinian Authority, more moderate ruler that is more accountable to the international community. They are corrupt. I don't like them either. But at least they are not using children innocent civilians as human shields. So before we talk about ceasefire, I want to understand who is proposing ceasefire, what's their objective of the ceasefire, what's their goal, what they want to achieve from a ceasefire. Is it giving a lifeline to Hamas? Then this ceasefire is a corrupt ceasefire. It's poisonous. It was not meant to save the children of Gaza. It was meant to save Hamas. And to that ceasefire, I say no.